the 6 actors Jack Elam hated the most. Jack Elam was born as William Scott Jack Elam on November 13, 1918 in Miami, Arizona. He grew up when America was going through hard times during the Great Depression and big changes in the 1920s and 1930s. Elam's early life was tough, but he was strong and wanted to beat any problems that came his way. When he was a young boy, something happened that changed his life forever. He lost his sight in his left eye during a fight with another boy at school. That accident was sad, but it later became one of the things people remembered most about him. It gave him that famous squint that everyone could spot right away on screen. His lazy eye, as people called it, wasn't something he tried to hide. Instead, he made it part of who he was, and over time, it became part of what made him famous in Hollywood. Before he got into acting, Jack Elam lived many different kinds of lives that showed how hard-working and flexible he was. He studied accounting at Santa Monica Junior College, and after he graduated, he worked as a bookkeeper and someone who checked company finances for different businesses. Actually, Elam was really good at accounting long before he ever acted in front of a camera. He worked with big companies and even movie companies, which gave him his first taste of what Hollywood life was like. It wasn't until the late 1940s and early 1950s, when he was in his 30s, that he decided to try acting for real. His weird looks, rough, tough presence, and that eye problem made him stand out from other actors. Casting directors quickly figured out that Elam could be the perfect bad guy for the rough westerns and crime movies of that time. Elam's career really took off in the 1950s when he got typecast, but in a really good way, as one of Hollywood's most memorable villains. He often played gunfighters, bad guy helpers, and sketchy outlaws whose scary presence could instantly tell you what kind of scene you were watching. Some of his first and most famous movies included Rawhide in 1951 and High Noon in 1952. These were 2 classic Western movies where he proved he was a reliable supporting actor. His rough face, squinting eye, and gravelly voice gave him a special presence that audiences never forgot. For many years, he was what people thought of when they heard Western bad guy. He was the kind of outlaw who didn't need an introduction. Just seeing him on screen was enough to warn viewers that trouble was coming. But Jack Elam was way more than just a villain by the 1960s and 1970s. He started doing more funny roles, showing Hollywood that he could do much more than just play outlaws and killers. His timing, facial expressions, and ability to make fun of his own scary image made him perfect for comedies. One of his most famous roles was in Mel Brooks' 1974 funny western called Blazing Saddles, where he had a memorable appearance during the big battle scene at the end. Elam also starred in lighter movies like Support Your Local Sheriff in 1969 and Support Your Local Gunfighter in 1971, where his humor was just as bright as his scariness used to be. He proved that even actors known for being tough could change what they did and succeed in new types of movies. Television also became a big part of Elam's career. He appeared in tons of Western TV shows including Gunsmoke, Bonanza, Cheyenne, and Have Gun Will Travel. Later, he was a main character in the popular series Alias Smith and Jones, and brought his special presence to the Dakotas and Temple Houston. In the 1980s, younger people got to know him in the comedy series Easy Street, where he acted alongside Lonnie Anderson and Julie Harris. His change from scary outlaw to lovable old man made him popular with people of all ages. When he wasn't acting, Jack Elam was known as a warm, funny, and down-to-earth guy, totally different from many of the bad guys he played. Friends and other actors often talked about his humor, kindness, and how he loved to share stories about Hollywood's best years. He had a reputation as a total professional who could make any movie set better with both his acting and his personality. During his long career, Jack Elam appeared in more than 200 movies and TV shows, leaving behind a legacy that very few character actors could match. His ability to grab audiences' attention, whether by scaring them as a gunslinger or making them laugh with his perfect comedy timing, made him one of the most versatile and beloved actors of his time. Jack Elam's personal life had 2 important marriages that not only shaped his private world, but also gave him stability during his often unpredictable Hollywood career. His first marriage was to Jean Louise Hadgett, a relationship that started in 1937, way before Elam became famous as one of Hollywood's most recognizable character actors. Back then, Elam was still a young man trying to figure out his place in the world, and his marriage to Jean gave him a sense of being grounded and having purpose. The couple stayed married for almost 25 years, sharing life's good times and bad times together, including the tough years before Elam's acting career took off in the late 1940s and early 1950s. Their marriage lasted 24 years, which was pretty rare in Hollywood, where many marriages fall apart because of fame and constantly working. Sadly, their time together ended when Jean died of colon cancer on January 24, 1961. Her death was a huge blow to Elam, who had depended on her for strength during his growing up years and early career struggles. Jean's death left an empty space in his personal life, one that Elam would carry with him forever, even though he eventually moved on. Despite feeling so sad, Elam didn't stay alone for very long. Just 7 months after Jean died, in August of 1961, he got married again, this time to Margaret M. Jennison. How quickly he remarried might have made some people talk, but for Elam, who had spent most of his adult life in the comfort of a serious relationship, having a companion was a really important part of his life. Margaret gave him new emotional stability and became a supportive partner during the peak of his acting career. By the early 1960s, Elam was in high demand, appearing in lots of different movies and television shows, often playing the colorful villains, drunks, and weird characters that made audiences love him. Margaret was there for all of it, handling the challenges that came with being married to a man whose work meant constant traveling and long hours on movie sets. Unlike the short romances you often see in Hollywood, Jack and Margaret's marriage lasted not just through the glamorous times of his career, but also through the quieter years when he didn't work as much. Their marriage would last an amazing 42 years, showing how strong their bond was and the solid foundation they built together. During this time, the couple created a private, happy life away from the spotlight, especially in their later years when Elam slowed down his work and chose to spend more time at home. Their lasting partnership showed not only how devoted they were to each other, but also Jack's deep appreciation for stability after a career filled with constant change. The love and companionship he shared with Margaret was totally different from the often lonely roles he played on screen, showing the difference between Jack Elam the actor and Jack Elam the man. Sadly, their marriage came to an end, not because they separated or divorced, but when Jack died, on October 20, 2003, after more than 40 years together. Elam died at their home in Ashland, Oregon, from congestive heart failure at the age of 8. His death marked the end of a remarkable life and career, but it also brought an end to one of the most lasting chapters of his personal story, his marriage to Margaret. She had stood by his side through decades of work, successes, and struggles, and together they had built a life defined by love, loyalty, and strength. In the end, Jack Elam's 2 marriages tell a story not only of loss and starting over, but also of how important companionship was in his life, a theme as touching as any role he ever played on screen. Jack Elam, the legendary Western actor known for his distinctive lazy eye, scary looks, and surprisingly versatile funny timing, wasn't just a master of the screen, he was also a man with strong opinions about his fellow actors. While many people remember him fondly for his humor and friendly personality behind the scenes, Elam was honest, sometimes harshly so, about the actors he disliked the most. Over his long career, which lasted more than 50 years, he developed both personal and work problems with certain co-stars and other actors of his time. Here's a detailed look at the 6 actors he reportedly hated the most, including Elam's own sharp observations, in quotation marks, which give us rare insight into his private thoughts about other Hollywood actors. Number 1. Gary Cooper. Elam's dislike toward Gary Cooper was really strong. Even though Cooper was one of the most respected and beloved stars of his time, Elam found him unbearably snobbish and, in his words, an actor who thought he was better than everyone else on the set. He often told stories about working on westerns where Cooper's standoffish attitude clashed with the team spirit of the crew. Elam said, "You'd stand there on a dusty set trying to catch a cue, and he'd just glare at you like you were a mosquito buzzing near his ear. It made me want to throw my hat at him." He disliked the way Cooper treated supporting actors, believing that his self-importance often overshadowed the work of talented character actors who were vital to making films memorable. Cooper's legendary status meant that very few people dared to confront him, but Elam, never one to sugarcoat his feelings, didn't hold back in private interviews. Number 2. John Wayne. Although many Western actors looked up to John Wayne, Elam